Hi everyone and welcome to Inderes TV. Today we're going to talk about Vaisala with Analyst Pauli Lohi. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is so fun because I'm going to start off by saying what the company states on its website. Operating on 2 planets. How cool is that?
Yeah, not many companies can say that, but Vaisala's scientific instruments were used in the NASA's Perseverance rover that landed on Mars, like planet Mars,
Yeah.
on February 2021. So
that's really something. Usually you talk about market areas and stuff, and this is like planets.
Yeah, they are. That's
Mars.
quite a big leap and huge expansion if you think about
geographically.
Yeah.
Geographically enormous. Yeah, and that's how cool this company is with the innovation part, and it has a cool history as well. Could you tell us something about it?
Yeah, the company has a history almost of 100 years. Like in 1931, the professor Vaisala found a Russian radiosonde which had fallen, and he found it, and as an innovator, he wanted to improve it and make it better. And he finalized the product in 1936 and sold 20 of them to MIT, Massachusetts University of Technology, and founded company Vaisala. And that was quite
impressive story to sell something from Finland to MIT in the 30s.
Yeah,
I mean,
like your first order. So
yeah, it really is an amazing start of the company, and I really want to stress at this point that this is not a garage type of thing that somebody has invented something and it's not commercialized yet. It has almost, as you said, 100 years of history, and it's really commercialized. Could you give us some numbers and how big is it?
Yeah. Since then, Vaisala has become a global leading player in high-end measurement technology, and they are continuously looking forward for new business opportunities through innovation. And since 1989, they have spent more than 900 million euros on research and development. So innovating and doing research development, that's in the core of the company. They have more than 2,000 employees and roughly 30 offices around the world. Not in Mars yet, but
but you never know.
and they have sales more than 400 million euros and operating profit of 50 million euros last year. So they are a big and profitable company, and they have been like that for a while.
Selling high quality measurement systems globally, and you already mentioned the strategy there. Could you open up that a bit more about the strategy?
Yes, so they have been in the business for a long time, and in their core market segments, which include the meteorological side and aviation, and in the industrial side, like high-end humidity and high-end carbon dioxide measurement, they have actually reached already quite good market shares in those segments. Mm-hmm. And what they next want to do is to look growth more aggressively outside their long-time core segments. So they have a number of other smaller segments which are growing more fast. So they want to target their R&D and growth investments into these more rapidly growing segments. And then what they do with their core segment is that maybe in there they will optimize the profitability a bit more than in this new segment. So
you could define this as a growth company as well.
Well,
in certain segments?
Yeah, in certain segments, they always look for new business areas and through innovation look other ways to gain new business.
And you already mentioned there that the R&D personnel and the numbers put into R&D on a yearly basis. So is there something specific, how would I say, cooking at the moment, some new innovations coming up that we should put our eyes on?
Well, there's always new innovations cooking in there, but I think what's the one very interesting area is like expanding the utilization of weather data into new areas. They have developed in-house, but also acquired some companies which are developing this kind of scalable software as a service weather data solutions.
Okay.
Which allow companies to integrate weather data into their own systems, so that let's say transportation companies can optimize their business better, and there is lots of use for the weather data. It can be a bit of surprising where you actually find good use cases for the data, but I think that's an area where you can grow a long time and create value for the customers, but also for the shareholders.
Yeah, so that's a new area of business.
Yeah,
with scalability possibilities, as you mentioned. Yeah.
They also like car manufacturers are increasingly using weather data, and I think Vaisala has contracts with several companies, for example Volkswagen, and so probably in the future the weather data will be used even more than today.
Yeah, and take it down to a more daily base.
Yes, but like integrating it into the daily operations of companies, but maybe into daily operations of ourselves, that we can use it more flexibly and easily.
We touched that already a bit, so how we can see as normal people Vaisala in our daily lives, but could you elaborate that a bit more? How does Vaisala affect the everyday life of anyone?
Yeah, the like weather forecasts are the easy one. That Vaisala is providing the instruments and software into meteorological institutions. But probably things that you don't think so much is that for example, in our laptops or smartphones or in many areas, there are components that are manufactured in facilities where Vaisala has probably sold some technology which allows the factory to control humidity, carbon dioxide, number of things in order to make the manufacturing more efficient and safe and improve the uptime of the facility. So they provide lots of very high-end instruments into industrial facilities and well, another areas like forest companies are also using like their liquid measurement tools, and when we buy paper from shop like supermarket, probably that has also seen some touch of Vaisala
in the production phase. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And also in data centers, because in data centers you want to optimize the how much you use energy, but also it cannot heat too much, or the humidity must be maintained in some certain level. So
yeah, data centers as well. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think that's a really scalability possible.
Yeah, like the demand for this kind of measuring is growing all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what about competitors in these types of areas?
Because this is a bit of a complex one because Vaisala has so many customer segments and product segments that there's not like a single company that is competing with them, but it's more kind of their sales is so much diversified that there's different competitors in different product segments. But generally, because Vaisala's strategy is to provide incremental value to the customers, so the customer relationships are very long, and usually when you serve them well and create new technology that serves them, they see they don't want to change their the company that provides the equipment very often, but instead those relationships are very, very long and not so much driven by price, because Vaisala doesn't want to be in product segments where there is lots of price competition. Instead, actually, in some cases they have divested such businesses where they have seen that this is going into price competition and we don't want to be there. So they are putting their focus on the innovations and increasing value for the customer.
So again, they're the core, the quality and the high-end product and the long-term relationships. Yeah. So geographically, this is done all over the globe.
Yeah, exactly. Their sales are very evenly split between like Europe, North America and Asia. So they are everywhere where there is like, no, of course in weather and environmental segment there are in every country basically, but in the industrial side they are everywhere where there is high capital intensive manufacturing and factories that need high quality equipment.
So now we talked about the business and the innovation and the strategy. How would you look at this from an investor's point of view, the whole case?
Well, the market is growing pretty nicely. We talk about something about 4 to 5% annually on average. Of course, it varies a lot between their business segments. And then we have seen that Vaisala can find new interesting growing areas and innovate and kind of drive the market forward. So I think it's fair to assume that in the long term they can grow some like 5% a year at least, and that's also the historical average what we have seen during the past like let's say 10 years.
So what are the main drivers? Are there their own innovations and the relationships built with their customers, or are there external? What are the external drivers for them?
I think they are both, but if you think about the market trends which are driving forward, the demand is well, think about climate change. You need to adapt into changing climate. Of course, you can use their equipment also to kind of track the changes in climate and maybe try to slow it down, but also you can use the weather and environmental equipment to adapt into the climate change. Then,
so driven by a mega trend as well.
Yeah. But then there's also other areas like renewable energy, and we have seen that, for example, in the Europe when the energy prices are very high and you have to diversify away from fossil fuels, then the investment cycle for the renewable energy is getting more steam, and Vaisala is providing equipment to, for example, for the wind parks. When you are planning them, you have to understand where it is windy and where it is not, and like how to optimize the efficiency of these wind parks. So Vaisala is providing equipment for those too.
Yeah.
And for example, then like in the industrial side, the resource efficiency, that's the big driver, because as I explained for example, in the data centers, you don't want to use too much energy, but then you have to ensure that all the hardware lasts well and doesn't break because of too much humidity, for example, or heat. So resource efficiency, that's in the industrial side, and maybe also well-being and healthy, because Vaisala's equipment can be used also in buildings, like for example in hospitals, but also why not in office buildings too, that you monitor air quality or such things. So
yeah, a lot of factors there.
Yeah,
and a lot of drivers for the company as a whole. So what about risks from an investor's point of view on short and long term?
Well, at least in the short term, I would say that the company has been growing quite rapidly in past, let's say, 1.5 years. So they are right now in a good growth mood, and also the profitability has been developing well. But in the long run, the growth has been all in the 5% territory. So if there is some kind of economic recession coming next year, that could be a slowing down factor for their sales growth. And they are, in the end, they are still quite slightly cyclical company, I would say, that they are not immune. Well, we have assumed that their growth could be continue in the 5% territory next year, which is of course less than 15% last year or this year, but there's of course risks that their sales could follow some cyclicality and slow even more than we have anticipated.
So what about component shortage and inflation?
Yeah, that's another area where there is uncertainty. The company has said that they see uncertainty at least till the end of this year, but you never know how long it lasts and so on, and the impacts from that component shortage, they have so far been more into profitability, but they have been able to manufacture and sell their products, but profitability has got some hits so far. And it is also possible that in the second half of this year, the profitability could get some
hits.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff to take in, kind of cyclical, but then the special segments that are growing. And growing with a high speed in the recent years, but on a bigger scale, not so much.
In a big picture, you should think more kind of 5% growth for the company in the long term. And now it has been above that. So if you believe in cyclical downturn in the economy, then it could be that it could slow even more. But
So what about the valuation at the moment? How would you sum it up?
Well, the valuation is quite high, I would say, and it has always, or at least in the past years, it has been high. So if we take our estimate of 14% growth this year and EBIT in the middle of their guidance range, it would be some 20 times EV/EBIT for this year. So it's not cheap, but also we have to remember that they have a solid long-term growth trajectory and high return on investment. So it's a quality company and
a good track record still.
And the peer group that we are using is we have tried to find similar companies with high quality technology, good profitabilities, and they are actually trading at pretty much similar multiples. So I wouldn't say that Vaisala is overvalued, but the valuation is demanding, and we don't see any kind of rapid improve in EBIT in the next years. So probably they can still improve the margins if it, at least in the good times, without any economic recession. But we are not seeing like anything that the EBIT would fall down to 15 or 10 in the couple of years. So I think this is a good value creating company for long-term investor, but it's a bit of difficult to see a trigger which could right now like drive the share price to much higher what it is right now. Okay. So
I think that's a really good way to sum it up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all these comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.